Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm dejected USC fan Michael Muto, and I'm here with Notre Dame expert Greg Famong. Greg, big win in the rivalry game.
I'm not dejected. At least not as much as I was at halftime.
That's true.
It was it didn't go the way that I had hoped.
It was grueling, I think, for all parties.
I mean, look, like all day I'm thinking about this game. How's it going to go? You know, is it going to be close? Like, it could be close. There's a way it's going to be close. And then you think, but there's also another way where they just blow them out. And then
I think we were on it. If people listened to the two podcasts leading up to the game, I feel like we had a pretty good handle on what was going to happen.
Did we? I don't even remember.
Well, we kind of thought, at least I didn't think it'd be 2 years of a blowout. So right. I said about 17 points seemed about fair. What did you say? 30, 34, 20 something? Yeah. So it would have been that way if not for the touchdown at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
I guess there was less scoring than we thought is what happened.
Right. I think that the way that the game went at the beginning, I thought, look, because I was thinking about it, and we look back on games, like we look back on the Stanford game as a blowout for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tied at 14 at halftime, right? Or no, it was 21-14 at halftime. They were winning, but it was a close game. They were up by a point at Virginia Tech, and like neither of those teams are like particularly good, right?
Yeah.
So those were the two games where I was thinking like it's if it's close at halftime, like it's actually not that big of a deal because, it's happened before. And they come out in the second half, especially with Ian Book. Like I wrote a whole article about it.
Yes.
About how, Ian Book is a really good second half quarterback. And it kind of just was playing out like that. Just overall, they score on the second drive in 2 plays, and then like pretty consistently in the second half, Notre Dame's moving the ball. But then they would just kind of like do dumb things.
Peter out, yeah.
Just kind of like what? Like why are you like they have like he's got Chris Fink wide open. He does a double move. He's open by 10 yards. He's gonna walk in the end zone, and he misses him by he's not even close to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not
like he's not even
Ian Book-esque. He's supposed to be one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football.
Right, and at that point. Like you could kind of tell, like even on the first drive of the game, he hits third down and they blitz him and he rolls out and he throws just a terrible pass. Like you cannot ever do it again. Like it's across his body, over the middle, late. He doesn't know where he's throwing it, and luckily, it falls incomplete. But when you do something like that, oh man, like it's
gonna be a long night.
He's not really with it right now.
Yeah.
So and they got first and 10 at the USC 36. They throw 3 straight incompletions. They get no yards. I mean, you're talking about like at least 4 down territory if you want to, but they didn't gain any yards. So they punt it. Kid punts it in the end zone.
Yeah, that was not great.
That's when it's just I'm starting to lose it, And then, Tim and I the whole time are texting. They get the drive down to the USC 20, and we're thinking this is like middle fourth quarter, and we're thinking any points, and it's like it's a 2-score game, and it's going to be fine. 3rd and 12, throws it. Just, what are you looking at, dude? Like, where are you throwing it? Throws it into triple coverage, and this kid's freaking walk on
off some kid off the street.
Just the ball, the ball just like falls in his lap, and he catches it. It's an incredible play by him, and And that's when I texted you. Like, Notre Dame's going to lose. Like, they're going to lose the game.
And I texted you back, don't worry, USC still hasn't scored a touchdown in the second half for 3 straight games, so you'll be fine.
And true to form, they did not.
So,
at least until Notre Dame did.
Yeah.
So how did you? I'm curious how you took in the game.
So I was just at home with the fam.
Okay.
The baby decided to not cooperate for most of the third and fourth quarter. So as the wheels were falling off the Trojan ship, I had a baby yelling in my face. So I was like double down on on stressful situations.
Uh-huh.
So that made it nice. But yeah, it was just a slow bleed, man. The game starts hot, kind of.
Yeah.
Like everyone's so excited about how it starts, and look, the 3 wide receivers are all involved, and JT Daniels is like 26 of 30 something. They scored 10 points, so like that yards are great, and people getting a lot of catches is fun.
Yard points.
You know what's great? Scoring touchdowns, and that didn't happen. So when they only had the limited amount of points, I wasn't feeling great. I wasn't feeling too great, and then. Knowing what I know about USC in the second half and USC and their streak of unanswered points they've been giving up to teams all year long, which was a fun graphic that I think the people at Raina Troy sent out during the fourth quarter of the game. There was I think 2 30-something streaks in games. There were 2 24 unanswered streaks.
I think it was 2 34s.
Yeah. It was 2 34s, 2 24s. A couple 14s, which isn't that bad, but when you just see it with all the other ones,
right,
it's like, oh man. I think there was a graphic on the screen that in the past 3 games, USC is 46-3 in the second half, aggregate scoring or whatever. It's oh no. Yeah, they couldn't move the ball at all, so it just didn't even matter. It didn't even matter. I knew what was going to happen. I fully knew what was going to happen. And then, just a little insult to injury, I texted Greg at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, that we had put our jeweled shillelaghs on Notre Dame covering. And then I made a personal side bet with one of the guys at 1 foot down. And I said, I'm going to win he gave me 17.5 points. I said, I'm going to win my side bet and I'm going to win our real bet. And then USC scored a touchdown, of course, just to put salt in the wound of what they do to me.
And I told you, Michael, I was like, there's time.
There's still time to blow this.
There's time. And so let me just tell you about how I took in the game, because I had myself quite a night. So I was with the kids all day. My wife went with my sister and my 2 sisters and my mom. They went to a spa because it's my older sister's 40th birthday today.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Kristen.
I'm sure she appreciates you telling the whole world that.
Well, you know what? No. She is spry and young. 40 is the new 30, Michael.
Okay, I agree.
And so happy birthday to her. I think she listens. Matter of fact, I know she listens.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday, Kristen. So Amy, so they were gone at a spa all day. And I was with the kids. And I smartly gave the kids baths after the boy, the young one, the 2-year-old, woke up. It's because I was like, I'm not going to want to deal with this, during the game or whatever. So Amy gets home and she doesn't feel good. Her ear hurts. She's all stuffed up. She's sneezing all over the place. She looks and sounds really bad.
By the way, people who don't listen to the podcast are wives.
Right. No, they don't.
So we can talk about them all we want.
They don't.
Families lights out.
We've been doing this for 4 years. I think she's listened to 1 podcast. No interest. Pretty funny.
Moms, brothers, sisters, they're in.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, she cannot handle anything with the kids. And look, I do most of the heavy lifting anyway because she's 37 weeks pregnant, right?
Right.
So I'm doing most of it. So I think to myself, okay, this game is not a good game for me to have divided attention, because anytime Notre Dame is in a situation where they could blow it, that's when I get really tense. Like if it's a big game like Michigan, I'm tense, but I'm not like, I don't get angry, you know? But if things start happening where I feel like they're blowing something, and in this case, blowing the season, I get like real. So like every little thing is really magnified. So I decided, okay, I have to just tape it. I have to tape it and try to watch it back after everyone goes to sleep. So I'm from the 5 o'clock until like 6:45, 7. I'm not. My phone is in the room. I'm not looking at anything. I'm just like with the kids. You know, we're doing dinner. We're hanging out. We put the kids. I put the kids to bed. Read stories, whatever. By 7 o'clock, everyone's sleeping. Okay. So I start watching the game, you know, and it's just, oh no, like this, like it's, you have the two scenarios.
Like, what did I do?
And it's like everything that you don't want is happening. SC has a good plan. Okay. They're taking what Notre Dame's going to give them. And I knew that Notre Dame was going to do this. I knew it. They are going to sit back and they are going to let USC try to pick them apart. And that's exactly what they did. And the thing is like when you do that plan against a team like even Syracuse, right? Or Northwestern. Okay, you're dealing with guys that they're not at your level. So eventually,
the worst case scenario, is
you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You got like Tyler Vaughns and St. Brown and Michael Pittman and the quarterback. They're as highly rated as anyone on the Notre Dame roster. 3 of those guys are rated higher than anyone that they've signed in the last like 5 years. So these are real guys. And it's like we talked about before. Like the reason that why is USC bad? They're not bad because they can't do this stuff. They're bad because in the second half they just can't sustain it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, I mean, they're firing all cylinders. So obviously they go down and score. It becomes immediately apparent that Ian Book is feeling the moment. It was like it. I mean, he just,
maybe he was nervous to see Cameron Smith again. They were high school enemies.
They were high school foes, apparently.
Yeah, didn't know that.
So he was nervous, and SC's moving the ball, and if not for the fumbles, right? But again, this is why USC is 5-7. Not because they have bad players, not because they don't generally have good plans. It's because when they move the ball, and Michael Pittman fumbles, and when they move the ball, and Amon-Ra St. Brown fumbles. That's why they're 5-7. So, Notre Dame got to halftime, only down 3. And then I caught up live right around when USC started their drive in the second half.
Okay.
And it's just, I mean, they got Michael Pittman matched up against this poor freshman. Kid has just no chance. And Dexter hits the run. And that's another thing. Like a run like that, Notre Dame has not given up a run like that all year. And that's kind of the difference. It's like just they can't really do anything on offense. And then they run some play, and it's like, oh, it's a 50-yard touchdown. And now we're winning. So, man, it just.
Now it's just hold on. Now you're just holding on to the edge of your
Well, now
seat.
it's like, okay, let's put them away now. Like, it's fine. Like, everything's fine, and you go and get a stop, and then you come down, and then you miss the guy and wide open. He's wide open. So, I don't know, Michael.
I think it was a good one to get out of the way, though. They can't be that bad again, right?
Who?
Notre Dame.
You mean on offense?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that they can't be. It'll be nice for them to have to play in a game where they need to have a performance, because they've been playing in a lot of games where it's like, the other team is rising to your level, as opposed to
they've just had to stay the course.
Right, exactly.
Do what we do. It'll be fine. Like, it'll work itself out.
Exactly right. Right.
After 4 quarters, we'll be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to go out there and actually beat, like Michigan. They had to go out there and beat Michigan.
Right. Correct. It's like, we have to go out there and actually beat Stanford. Like, we need our complete focus in this game. And
it turned out Stanford wasn't that good of a team, but
yes. Still, you go into it like that.
At the time, they were a different team.
Yeah. And look, we've been talking about, the travel, right?
Yeah, there was a fun little graphic on the screen about that.
Yeah, so we've been talking about it. So maybe it's no surprise that at the end of it, maybe they don't have their best performance in them.
Everyone's a little gassed.
Yeah, just a little bit, It's just like, it takes a toll. And maybe it takes a toll on the margins, but those things make a difference over time.
They do.
So I don't know. I mean, what did you think of, like, where were you? When did you had, at some point you had to have felt like, all right, maybe we can do this.
I don't know. I felt pretty good after the first touchdown. And then I kind of thought to myself, I feel like I've seen this before. And then I saw the graphic on the screen of USC scored first in 10 of 12 games, which is super embarrassing to be 5-7. So that kind of took a little wind out of my sails. I never felt comfortable. It was a close game. But the less USC scored, the more I knew Notre Dame was going to win. Like, if USC is struggling to get to 13 points, it's like, you can't win this game. They're not going to win this game 13-10. Right. Like that's just not going to happen. I never saw that. It needed to be like, I could give you like 24-21 maybe, or just kind of outlast them at the end. They get 2 more touchdowns or something. I guess that couldn't have been possible because they had 10 points, but you know what I mean. Like if USC scores 3 touchdowns, so Notre Dame has to get to more than that. 3 scores. If it was ever 3 scores, maybe I would have felt better. But it was always too close. I know they don't make adjustments in the second half. I know they hadn't scored touchdowns in the second half a few times this season. So I was just waiting for the guillotine to drop. I wasn't happy. I wasn't ecstatic. It was just the inevitable was being delayed by me watching this whole football game.
Yeah. It was very important that Dexter Williams run. I mean, super important, because it's like, if you get to, like, it's one thing when it's 10-7 and you're like 1 score away, like you're a stop and score away from being tied or in the lead or whatever.
Yeah.
If USC had scored the next points and now you're down 2 scores, that's when.
Yeah, I would have felt a little better.
That's when it gets tight, like real tight. Because that's the thing about it. It's like, it's one thing when it's going on against Pitt. It's another thing when it's going on in the last game. Like, this is it. There's nothing left. Like, against Pitt, there's the mental, okay, we have
middle of the season
to go. Yeah. Right. We have a whole 6 other games.
This is it. The pressure is on.
This is the moment. Like, you can, and you're thinking, like, the thing is like all week the guys are thinking to themselves, like, let's not blow it. Like, this is our chance. So the fact that they went and scored the first time in the second half, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I thought the 2 of the biggest plays of the game were the Ian Book runs. It was a 3rd down.
Okay.
And he put his shoulder down. He ran over Langley.
Yeah.
To get that extra yard. And then a couple plays later, he hits Fink on the corner route. enormous play because you're punting. So that's a huge play. They had another 3rd, and I want to say 3rd and 9, where they did a quarterback draw.
Yeah, that was a good play.
And I think he juked out Langley again, actually.
The much maligned Isaiah Langley.
Yes, and I'm going to get to him in a second. Yeah, I don't know. I think that might have been the drive that they ended up. He ended up throwing the interception in the end zone.
It might have been.
I think it was
field goal.
But even so, like even if it didn't, I don't think it was the field goal. Maybe it was. Maybe it was the field goal drive. Either way, like you're looking at a punt again, and now
those are Big Ten plays.
Yeah, and it's like those are plays that like.
And he wasn't having a good game either, so.
Right, like the quarterback draw is obviously a design play, but like making a move on the corner.
They ran one earlier that was not good.
It was not.
So, or they might have run 2 earlier that were not good.
So, it's just, I mean, they're huge plays. A particular frustration of mine. They kept throwing it at Biggie Marshall.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing.
Like, could you just stop doing that?
USC has they have no defensive back.
Yeah,
the kids from the street are literally playing this.
You got to walk on at safety, and you
got a freshman at the other safety.
Freshman at the other side. I mean, you got a Jeannie Harris out there, but it's like stop throwing at this guy. Like, there's one guy in the secondary that's going to the NFL, and you keep throwing it at him. Knock it off. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird too.
I just kept thinking like, hey, can you throw the ball to Chase Claypool on Isaiah Langley like 20 times?
Yeah, and I feel like Notre Dame's wide receivers are pretty interchangeable. Like the two outside guys. Like
so whoever.
Yeah, like it's not a big deal.
Whoever's on them, just do it.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing with that.
It was maddening. I stop throwing at him. Like seriously, just knock it off. They of course didn't.
He did get his customary pass interference call, which was a little dicey, but it was okay.
Shaky. Didn't like it.
But I feel like he does a couple of, like, there was one they didn't call. So like I don't.
Well, there was yeah. I mean, look. I mean, I'm so done with the officiating this year.
Hey, you got a holding call.
We did get a holding call. It's unfathomable.
Like, another maligned Trojan toe, Lobadon.
I mean, I'll give him credit. That was a pretty sweet takedown. We did get a holding call, and that was great. I mean, we got guys getting tackled. I mean, poor Khalid Kareem. I mean, there was one play, he got held twice, and he got tackled to the ground, and he's just incredulous to the official. Like, he can't believe it. But look, this stuff is both ways, right? Like, I mean, they're missing calls all over the place.
ACC crew, by the way. I know we talked about it last pod. Who was going?
Yeah, I recognize the guy. I was like, oh. So,
because Notre Dame brings the officials in the rivalry,
right.
Or the away team brings the officials in the rivalry,
right? And obviously,
didn't know that.
We hate them.
I know Notre Dame stuck with ACC officials.
Jesus. Stuck with these freaking guys. Oh man.
So, your season's still going. So I was actually going to ask you, who are you sad to see go? But I forgot that Notre Dame still gets to play football.
I mean, we could talk about it because I am sad.
So, I mean, you got one more game. We can wait.
At least one more game. And look, yeah. I'm pretty. It's hard because like that's 12. Like the season's over. The regular season's over.
Yeah.
Like I look forward to football season.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, and now
it gets here so slow, and it goes by so fast.
And we get at most 2 more times with these guys. I don't know. College football is cruel like that.
It is.
You get a team, you finally have a team that you really like, and then we're going to lose so many of these players.
It'll be a whole different group next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not completely, but.
Right.
Man, it's just, I don't know. It was a fun year.
That's part of the fun, though. I think that's part of the fun of college football.
No, it is. It is. Look, I mean, obviously these things can happen twice, right? Like the 2015 team, like I was so sad to lose Jalen and Will Fuller and Procise, and now you've got just like a whole different set of guys who just went 12-0, So
I understand. Is it time to talk about the elephant in the room?
Let's talk about it.
So we were gonna do the podcast last night, but it got a little late. Got away from me.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
By the way,
because as of this morning, USC athletic director Lynn Swann released a statement saying that Clay Helton is coming back to coach the USC Trojans next year.
Give us
beside myself. Give
us the caveat though. There's a wrinkle to this statement that he released that is just
so to rub the salt, more salt and more wounds. It was dripping with comparisons to Brian Kelly after the 4-8 season, and how everything needs to change, and there must be overhauls, and this is a bad season. Everything went wrong, so we have to fix it. We have to fix everything except the head coach, apparently. So I think that made me the most mad, is that people keep comparing Clay Helton to Brian Kelly, and it's just not a fair comparison.
You can't do it after
it keeps happening.
You can't do it after you just played him.
Yeah, that too.
You just lost to him the day before, and it's like, the team we played yesterday, they didn't fire their coach, and look at them now.
Yeah, if they fired Brian Kelly, they wouldn't have beat us today.
I mean, it's just. I can't believe he said that. I cannot believe it.
Herb Street was going to bat for Clay Helton.
I heard at the end. They both said they both expected he'll be back.
And that's when you knew that's when you knew he was coming back.
I was stunned to hear that.
I don't know. I've never met Clay Helton. Maybe I should, and it would be like a life-changing experience for me, because it's unfathomable to a person. It's like, this guy's great. He's a great guy.
Everyone loves him.
He's just so great. He seems so vanilla, which is the weird. You know what I mean? Like,
I got it.
Like, there's some guys out there where you're like, man, he does seem like a great guy. Like, I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but he seems charismatic. He seems, like Pete Carroll. Like, I hate to do that, but it was just the best one I can make right now.
Pete Carroll had charisma.
He comes off like a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a better one, and I can't. So that's going to kill this. But, Clay Helton just seems so boring. He seems so vanilla. He seems so like milquetoast. And I don't know what he does to people to make the person meeting him think he's such a great guy. It just blows my mind.
You know what I think it is, Michael?
His down-home Southern charm?
Part of it is he is always like sticking up for his players, even in like a way that is so transparently ridiculous. He will always be like, that guy, he just
missed some assignments, he
tried as hard as he could, and he's a great guy, he's a great kid, he's a great player. We just got to get better. So like, he's always doing that, and it's like, look, dude, X player just played really bad, so you need to just kind of tell us that. But he doesn't, and I think people respect it. And like
John Baxter, best special teams coach in the game.
Yeah,
these guys are getting field goals blocked left and right.
We won that game because of John Baxter.
Yeah,
and it's like, what? And everyone can see through it, but I think they respect it, and so that's what I think it is.
It's terrible. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind.
So I want to. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, you go.
No. I want to go back because it's truly unbelievable that this decision has been made. Because people forget the context for which he was even in the position to be the head coach at all.
I told on the unaired podcast, which was 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
I said there's a real chance he's coming back. And you didn't believe me. And the next one I said, look, I can see the writing on the wall. The writing's starting to show up. He's coming back. You believed it a little more.
I honestly, like, I did not think there was, and the only thing that gave me pause is some of the names that were being floated were
clearly duds.
Ridiculous. Like, come on. Like Jack Del Rio and
Jeff Fisher.
Like, they're not going to hire those guys. Like, there's just no way that was going to happen. I mean, as ridiculous as maybe Lynn Swan is, they're not getting those guys. There's no way they were. So that was like, I was like, why aren't we hearing some real names? Like, where are the real names?
Right. Where's the real list? Not James Franklin.
Yeah. Yeah, this James Franklin. Like, the James Franklin thing, the way that he answered the question, he answered it in a way that made me think, like, there's no way he's leaving Penn State, but he would really love it if people were talking about him for like a week. So,
all right, back to how did this happen?
So,
give me the timeline.
So, in 2015, Sarkisian is the coach, and I think it was almost immediately. It was in the preseason, like right before the first game, that little pep rally with the boosters thing comes out, and it's like the guy was drunk at the pep rally.
This is our first season podcasting, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay, that sounds right, actually. So they start slow or whatever, and it's pretty bad as far as his behavior on the sideline. So he gets suspended and eventually fired. And Clay Helton is named the interim coach. And the talk about him was, will he become the permanent head coach? And it was like, well, if he goes undefeated or loses once, then maybe it's a possibility that they would retain him. But like, this is a big job, right? Like, this is USC football. So we can't just give it to someone like, an interim guy who's never have been a head coach before. They don't go undefeated. They don't lose once. They lose 2 times. Then, one of which is to Notre Dame by 10 points. Then, prior to playing because they qualify for the win the Pac-12 South, right? They're terrible division. So they're going to play in that, but everyone thinks they're going to lose to Stanford. They name him permanently without a search. Pat Hayden, who is the lame duck AD at this point, because he says he's going to retire. He names him permanent head coach and gives him a guaranteed contract without having a search. They did not search for a coach. They didn't interview people. They didn't do anything. They just named him. Then they lose the next 2 games. They lose in the Pac-12 championship. They lose in the Sun Bowl. They finished 7-6. Okay, the guy was 5-4, and he got hired.
It was the Holiday Bowl.
It was the Holiday Bowl. Okay, so he gets hired.
Wisconsin, I believe.
He gets hired under those circumstances.
Yep.
And in 2016, they start 1-2 with Darnold on the bench. They go to Utah with Darnold in his first start, and they lose. But he looks good. And then, obviously, that season plays out the way it plays out.
Go to the Rose Bowl. Exciting game against Penn State.
Go to the Rose Bowl. Exciting game. Everyone's fired up.
And is in the top 5 of both polls.
Correct. Everyone's fired up. You got Darnold coming back in 2017. It's going to be awesome. Get blown out by Notre Dame. Darnold never really looks that great. He looks fine. He doesn't look that great. Who did they lose to before Notre Dame that year? They entered the game with a loss.
Yeah, they lost to. This is gonna kill me. Who did they lose to? I'm looking at it here. It wasn't Stanford. Was it Washington State?
It was definitely not.
They went up to Washington State. That's right.
So they lose to Washington. That's right. It is Washington State.
Yeah.
So they lose to Washington State. They get blown out by Notre Dame. Then they run the table, and they get blown out by Ohio State.
Yep.
And now this year, they go 5-7. Complete train wreck.
The worst. This is the worst team in the last 18 years.
And they keep him.
They keep him as long as he gets some new coaches in.
I can't believe it. Because you want to compare him to Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly had been undefeated at Notre Dame. like he had already been undefeated with that team. He'd won 10 games before, aside from that, and he'd been undefeated at Cincinnati. And he won multiple national championships at Grand Valley State, and he won double-digit games at Central Michigan.
Yeah, this guy coached at, I have it up in front of me, Duke, Houston, Memphis, and then USC. That's it. He's been at SC since 2010.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable.
Quarterbacks coach, passing game coach, offensive coordinator, interim head coach, offensive coordinator. Oh, that's right. He coached a bowl game like in 2013.
Right, because of Orgeron. Orgeron left.
Yeah. Offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and then head coach. Cool.
I mean, you could make the case that like the guy was an offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Like that was his trade. And he started Max Brown ahead of Sam Darnold.
Like, what's he know about quarterbacks?
For 3 games.
I know a guy that played football at Memphis in the 2000s. I'm going to shoot him an email. He's an offensive lineman.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to shoot him an email and see what he thinks about Clay Helton. So I'll be ready next podcast.
I'll bet he'll love him.
I bet he'll love him too. I won't say his name in case he wants to say bad things.
Here's the thing, Michael, about trying to do what Brian Kelly did. It's different at USC because at Notre Dame, Brian Kelly goes 10-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 2017. And a lot of people didn't like how it ended, but like when you blow out USC and you blow out Michigan State and you blow out NC State and the team looks great and you're in the top 3 for, a couple of weeks before you get destroyed by Miami. Notre Dame fans, whether they accept it or not, they understand subconsciously, at least, that when they play these teams like the Miamis and the USCs and the Ohio States, those teams have more talent than them. So you get it. Like, okay, we lost to Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, right? You wish it was closer, but we kind of understand, like, Ohio State has like 10 dudes drafted from that team. Like, they're playing with different players than us. At USC, it's not like that. You have all the players.
You have all the players.
You have all the players. Like, USC has signed more 5-star players in the last signings class than Brian Kelly has had in the last 7 years. Like, we got Jalen Smith, and that was the greatest thing that ever happened. USC has 3 dudes like that, like in the last class.
Every year.
Every year this happens. So it's different. It's different. You don't, like, I hate to say it, but like Notre Dame's results shouldn't be what the goal is at US, because it can't be. You every game you go out there, you're playing with a bunch of first round picks against a bunch of second and third round picks, or fourth round picks, or fifth round picks.
I think you're being a little bit of a Notre Dame homer, like small town homer.
What do you
at the
mean?
moment, but you make it sound like Notre Dame's playing with like, you know, scrubs. I mean, they have guys go in the first round every year.
But but what I'm saying
USC has better players.
It's not scrubs. It's second round picks. Right?
I mean, let's see. Darnold went in the first round last year. The year before that, who went in the first round for USC? If anybody.
No. We talked about this before. I'm talking about on the recruiting trail.
Oh, okay. All right.
The problem is that those guys aren't being coached.
Well, yeah.
Notre Dame's guys are.
Yeah, Notre Dame's guys get better. Or Notre Dame scouts are better at finding people who will fit in the program. I don't know.
Right, and that's what you have to do. Like, SC's taking any 5-star that wants to come, and Notre Dame can't do that. Right? So the premium on coaching at Notre Dame was so important because it's like we just can't pluck these guys out of everywhere. And, I mean, that just goes to show, like, if I was Lynn Swann, the question I would ask myself is not can Clay Helton succeed here, but can Clay Helton succeed at a school like Notre Dame?
Another problem. I think I brought this up on the on-air fire evacuation podcast. Was USC doesn't have a president at the moment, so there's a real chance that part of this decision is just to not lose $15 million or whatever obnoxious amount of money they pay Clay Helton.
It's possible,
and they're just going to eat a season. And if he sucks again, then they could fire him, and they didn't waste any money. And what's the difference for sucking one more year? And they'll probably be okay because they're USC and they have all the best players. Like, I think that's really what he's hoping for is a mediocre season that's not as bad as this one, but not good. And then they could just fire him and get a real coach in there, which is terrible to hear. And, makes you sad because it's not like they get a first-round draft pick or anything. There's no good reason to tank when you're at college, but that might be what's happening. Is there's just so much turmoil internally at the university that they're just not even bothered with a head football coach search at the moment for the most important thing at USC. It's just not. It won't go well. Who knows who'll be involved? Who knows who'll have people's ears? Who knows how it'll work? There's no one manning the ship there at SC, so it's like, let's just run this out and see what happens. The guy won a Pac-12. The guy won a Rose Bowl. Maybe they can luck into one more. I kind of think that's part of the equation is the university being in some turmoil.
The parallels to Notre Dame in 2016 are very eerie and similar, even to the little wrinkle that SC is unveiling the new stadium next year, just like Notre Dame was.
That's true.
They were getting the Jumbotron and the crossroads and everything. And I thought of that because it's like this is a really interesting time for USC football right now. I read somewhere that they didn't break 60,000 people.
They did not.
At any home game this year?
Oh, any home game? Wow. I didn't see that.
Or maybe it was 70,000. I don't know. It was like...
No, I mean, I just didn't see it. You're probably right.
I don't know if I'm right.
Who's going to these games?
You know what, though? It would make sense because Notre Dame's bringing a lot of people.
Well, Notre Dame was 59, I think. I think I heard 59 was the attendance.
No, but what I'm saying is, that was with a bunch of fans who aren't going to USC games normally showing up.
So you figure what? So the first game of the season who was it? It was like UNLV. So that's not a sellout. Then they're at Texas.
I think I could look it up.
And then it goes bad already. Washington State was on a Friday night, so that probably didn't get a lot of people, and that was early in the season.
I'm looking it up right now. They didn't.
Okay.
They were 58-7 against UNLV, 52-4 against Washington State, 57-6 against Colorado, 47-4 against Arizona State, 56-7 against Cal.
That was homecoming. That was a night game.
Yeah, and then 59-8 against Notre Dame. They didn't break 60,000 one time.
Not great.
And that number's not getting better next year, Michael. And they got the new stadium and the new everything else. If he's thinking it's okay to mail in a season, which look, I think they'll be better next year.
They can't be worse.
They really can't be, just because, according to S&P, like, they're 40th, which isn't that bad for a team with their record. Just for comparison, what is Northwestern, 8-4? Right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, Northwestern's 8-4. They're 78th in S&P, right? So, USC will be better. I think, Pittman said he's coming back already.
Allegedly.
But you don't think so?
He could get a good draft grade.
He could.
And leave. If he gets graded out as a first rounder, he might leave.
I remember Will Fuller said he was coming back, and then
yeah. And look, he's got to share time with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Trayvon Sidney, and Tyler Vaughn's. Wow, I haven't done that in a long time.
Is Tyler Vaughn's coming back? I assume he is.
I assume he is, but he made some great catches, by the way.
He did.
So maybe he's not coming back. I think if one of them leaves, the other one comes back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's still Velus Jones kicking around. There's what's his name, Devon Williams. I don't know the pronunciation there.
You've got so much talent, man.
So I think one of them leaves for sure.
All right.
Okay. But regardless, yes, it can't be as bad as last year.
So they'll be a little bit better. But what if they go 8-4? Like, fans don't care about that.
Yeah, fans. Yes.
You're gonna lose 4 times.
But then you could fire your coach.
But then you fire your coach, and it's just. But you've already gone a whole year, and now people don't really care.
That's true.
And what if you do see a drop in recruiting, and then you're 1 year away? Like, the next coach is coming in and thinking, at that point, Pittman's gone, Tyler Vaughn is gone.
Yep.
Amon-Ra is what you get 1 season with him and 1 season with Daniels.
He may transfer in the off season.
Who, Amon-Ra?
Yeah, I'm joking. That's not gonna happen.
We'll take him.
That's not gonna happen. But
I know it's not, and he wouldn't want to come anyway. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess around with that.
I wouldn't either.
But they are. So.
We're not in charge.
We're not in charge.
So I wonder who they're going to get to fill the cupboard that allegedly everyone's getting fired from. What does USC get? Because Clay Helton's going to want. Is he still going to call plays? Is he still going to what's going to happen? Are they going to get rid of Clancy? That guy makes millions of dollars. I have no idea what this means. What's going to happen?
Well, they need a new line coach. So that's
correct.
That's one. What are they going to do with T. Martin?
He's got to leave, right? I mean, he can't be thrilled just being the wide receivers coach.
I mean, he's out there recruiting.
Yeah. I mean, I saw somewhere they're like, "Oh, they should keep T. Martin. He's a great recruiter." Yeah, he's a great recruiter when he has a job.
I imagine he will be gone after the early signing period. That's my guess. Yeah. So he'll leave after that.
Is John Baxter getting fired? What? I just can't imagine. Clay Helton's such a yes man, such a nice guy that everyone loves. I just can't imagine what these changes are going to be. And then is he just going to hire a bunch of yes men who let him do whatever he wants anyways?
Man, I'm just thinking back.
Is Norm Chow available?
Notre Dame lost so many guys. They got rid of so many people. They got rid of the strength coach. They got rid of offensive coordinator, 2 offensive coordinators. They got rid of their defensive coordinator,
during
the linebacker coach, the D-line coach. I mean, they got rid of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 9 coaches.
That's what you got to do, though.
Yeah, but then he went completely outside of I can't even think of who it would be.
Because where they got their defensive coordinator from some SEC school, right?
No, they
got Wake Forest or something.
Wake Forest, yeah, it's the ACC.
Whatever.
They got him from there. They got Clark Lee from the same place. When did Audrey Denson come? I mean, they got Chip Long.
Yeah.
From there, they got Dale Alexander, the receiver coach from Arizona State.
Arizona State always had good wide receivers.
Yeah, they got the strength coach from, I think it was Memphis or from someplace. Who else? You didn't move that guy.
I mean, maybe.
And then Elko was the defensive coordinator, was the safety coach. Oh, and they got Tommy Reese.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback coach. So, I mean, they made so many changes.
That's what SC has to do, though.
They do have to. Yeah. But, is he going to change, like, his whole method of...
Well, what do you think his philosophy is? Like, that's a great question. So I'm Joe, somebody off the street, and I go, hey, Greg, you do a podcast, and you talk about USC football for the last 4 years. Describe Clay Helton's philosophy as succinctly as possible. What would you say?
Philosophy on what?
I like offensive football. Like what's he trying to do out there?
He's trying to throw.
Is I guess, yeah.
That's because look, I think of like his brother at Western Kentucky, right? Who didn't he bring him in to call plays at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, that team is wide open. Like, they are wide open. Memphis was the same way.
So why is the USC wide open?
I think it's because he's trying to thread. Because look, he's trying to thread the needle between being wide open and
traditional USC football.
Traditional. The other thing is like he got his chops as an offensive coordinator, like the old school spread. Like the spread now is different. Yeah, like it's different now. Like it's just kind of a different way. I think that he's trying to thread the needle between like I want to throw it a lot, but I also feel like I need to establish the running game.
Well, that's why I asked this line of questioning, because he does, like you said, he's trying to do two things at once, and you can't do two things at once.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it. They don't have an identity. They never have had an identity.
Yeah.
They don't know what they are, and they really needed to at least make a choice this year. And
they couldn't.
They didn't. Yeah, they wouldn't.
They should have been a running team, or they should have been super wide open, and they were neither.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what they'll do. Great. Fantastic.
Man, I don't know. I can't believe that they decided to run it back.
I can.
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's honestly like it shouldn't be surprising, just because the fact that the way that he got hired by, again, like I said, a lame duck AD. Like he had said he was retiring and then signed him to this deal,
which is crazy. I mean, I told you in the morning, I'm like, oh, Helton's on College game day. This isn't a good sign.
Yeah.
Brad Fowler had like a nice little interview with him. And Herbstreit went to bat for him in the morning. I was just like, oh, no. Corso did not go to bat for him. But still, that's just because they're on TV, and I think he had to.
Yeah, those guys, they're just, I don't know. They're playing roles.
Yeah. But no, Herbstreit went to bat for him in the morning. He did it. They did it again at the end of the game. It's just so upsetting. I think that's a good place to leave it. That I'm just upset. So next week we'll have all kinds of Notre Dame talk, because there'll be no USC talk unless they start firing coaches.
Maybe. I mean, there's always something.
There's always something. Someone could Jack Sears may transfer.
I feel like they can't move too quickly just because you have the signing date. You know, they got
and you don't know who's available too, because some guys are going to get canned after the end of the season.
But when it's coordinators, though, like they're totally fine. That's why they have to wait, unless it's a line coach, you know, because then it's like, okay, if it's the line coach or whatever, then you can bring him in because there's no one that's recruiting.
I see. Okay, that's true.
Like no one's recruiting for him, but like T. Martin, like you can't have him move on. No,
that's true.
None of these guys.
All right, so maybe you're right, but there'll be something. There's always something.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be Notre Dame heavy from here on out. Sorry, SU fans. Follow Greg on Twitter, Greg2126. Follow Greg's articles at uhnd.com. Follow us. We're Tilting Ground everywhere. And fight on.
Go Irish.